everyone. Hopefully everybody's doing well this evening. I've been sick. I'm still sick for over a week now. So hopefully I can keep it going. I got a little bit of a low-grade fever and chest congestion, head congestion, that type of thing. So been fighting it for a little bit over a week. So it is what it is. But if you could, please sting that like button as you come in and, we'll try to get this thing going. I got a few people that said they'll be here in a few minutes, so they probably won't be very long to get in here, and we'll get some topics to started tonight. I've got it's been raining. It was really hot, and then it went to raining for I don't know the last 4 or 5 days. It's been raining, and I think it's going to rain tomorrow, and it's supposed to rain again this weekend. I'll tell you what, a lot of you guys have my email address, and I would appreciate some help with something. If you do, in fact, have my email address or know how to contact me, I am looking to buy some queens. I've got a little bit of money from a GoFundMe that I was doing. People are, kind of acting suspect about why I did a GoFundMe for queens. However, the main reason it got put up was because I had several people offer to buy queens that are my customers to help grow my apiary locally. So that was one of the reasons. The other reason is, can I graft? Yes, I can answer that question. Can I make queen cells? Yes. Do I know how to do demarrays and stuff like that to help generate queen cells? And the answer to all those is absolutely yes. However, what it doesn't allow me to do is it doesn't allow me to change the genetics in my yard. So as we all have seen on my videos and stuff, I have a few hives that are really kind of spicy, and the goal is to eliminate those queens, divide those hives up, and split them down, give them new queens, and propagate for next season. That's the goal. So with that being said, if you are a person that would like to donate a queen, there is a GoFundMe link in the description of the video that it would be appreciated if you do. If you don't, no big deal. But I've seen prices ranging from $50 down to $28, and I was gonna pull the trigger today and try two or three times. But I don't know if it's something with the site that I went to, but for some reason it would not take my card, and I have no idea why. It said it was unverifiable, and it's a national bank chain, and the money was in the bank. I even went and put more money in the bank just to make sure. But at any rate, that's where we're at with that. I also got a nice email from somebody locally today that is looking for a little bit of help with the way the letters sound. They have one colony, and they were trying to test it for varroa mites and not having much success. So they would like for me to come help them check their hives for varroa mites and treat. So that's something that I'll probably be partaking. They actually offered to pay for that assistance. So that's something that I'm going to be looking into. And I sent them an email back, invited them to come into the chat tonight. So, hopefully they show up and glean some knowledge out of tonight. And, I know the chat is always good about answering people's questions as they come up, and lots of side conversations all the time. And that's why this community is so great. So I appreciate it. Hey, Joe, good to see you. Randy Klingen, Eric, good to see you. Brian. I said hi to Randy, Tar Heel Beekeeper, but hey again, Keith, Jeff, Grayson was in there somewhere. Good to see y'all. And anybody else that I haven't said, welcome and good to see you. I've been fighting it. So been hitting it with every over-the-counter thing I can do to avoid having to go to the doctor, but it's probably coming, probably coming soon, because I haven't been able to shake this, what we've got going on. But I've got several colonies that are right now they're looking really good. I have been making splits along as the season goes and trying to propagate some bees. Just don't have a high success rate on returning queens. They make the cell, the virgin hatches out, and then they either fly out and don't. I mean, I have to assume that's what it is because they let the cell go all the way to hatching and then she don't come back. So for whatever reason, whether it's dragonflies or lizards or who knows what catches them and gets them, birds, anything like that. With this rain hitting us at this time right now, I don't know how our honey flow is going to keep up. It seems like it is really, well, obviously they can't go out in the rain and get it, and there's not going to be any produced in the rain. I do know that the rain has knocked a lot of the mimosa blooms down and stuff like that. So there are definitely issues coming with that in mind, as far as the honey flow. Right now I've harvested a little over, I think it's like 410, 420. So I've definitely got some honey. Not necessarily the bumper crop that I had hoped for at this point, but I haven't harvested it all. So we'll see what happens. Grown the colonies this season up to over 30 colonies, and we're looking to do a little bit more with that as the season goes on. And we got our first visitor jumped in. Hey, to Big Mike. Hey, Big Mike, how you doing? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You can hear me now. All right.
Yeah.
You doing all right?
It was all broken up at first.
Seeing we got storms going on
too. Acting weird.
So you've been grafting, making a few splits and grafting?
I'm going to sign out and sign back in.
All right. Let's see. Big Mike will come right back, but I know he sent me some photos, so he's done a little bit of grafting and stuff like that, and we'll let him tell us about that when he gets back in. What do you guys have going on in your worlds? As far as the queens, I was telling you about it. Someone sent me let me add Mike back. Hey, Mike. We good now?
Hope that's better.
You sound good.
Don't know. You sound better.
So you've been grafting?
It's all broken up again.
Is it me?
I think it's my connection. I'm going to reboot my computer. I'll be back in 5-10 minutes.
Okay. All right. So, Rick, my sister was born in Lorraine. I was born in Akron. And you cut your third swarm already? Yeah, I was hearing him fine too, but he was having issues too. So I don't know. He'll come back. And Brad said he'll be coming in a few, and Charlie. So we're gonna have a good bunch of people to have conversations with. And obviously the link is in the chat. At least it was. Is it not pinned? If anybody decides they want to come in. There's a couple things as far as like the honey table and honey sales have not been the greatest because of the rain. You caught 12 swarms this week using my lure. That's amazing. That's awesome. I appreciate that, man. I'm glad you're having success. Glad you're having success with it. That's a good thing. But the rain has kind of kept me from going out and setting up. So I've still sold a few things. I got a nice order from the visitor center this week. it appears the creamed honey is really taken off at the visitor center. They ordered 32 jars of, well, it was creamed honey and hot honey, but they ordered 32 jars this week and last week, and I carried that out to them. And then we rained all weekend and raining today and raining yesterday, so it wasn't a nice Memorial Day weekend here, but sold a little bit of honey, not a lot. I'm supposed to be doing a market. I don't know if, I guess you call it a market. It's a thing, June 6th. We'll see how it goes. It's a low entry fee type of deal, and we'll see how that goes. And if it's something that I'm going to start working towards. I see a lot of people having success. Brian and those guys that do a lot of markets have good success. So I'm looking at options of doing that, and I just got to get the cash flowing again. And for me right now, it takes the weather to be nice to do that, and we just haven't had it. And then when the weather is nice, guess what? I got to go work bees. So got to kind of juggle it a little bit. But last time I went out to a week ago today, I went out to the out yard, and the out yard near me, and I made a split, and I took that split out to the out yard in Lexington, which because Lexington, I know, has made a couple queens and had good success on return. So might be another beekeeper near there or something like that. So trying to do that. If not, one of these ordered queens that I'm going to order will go out there and go into that colony. And we'll see how it goes. But my thing right now is finding good queens that are not, overly priced. And for me, hold on, I got something poking me. Sorry. For me, it's, I understand queens are 40 to 50 bucks. When you start buying 10, 15, 20 of them or more, you expect a price break, but it seems like the bigger commercial guys don't price break you till you get to 100, which I don't need 100 queens, guys. So that's an issue. Or you have to pay more. If you order them from Man Lake or somewhere like that, they're all $45 a piece. So that's kind of becoming my, cash flow has been an issue this year for me. So sorry, I know I look dumb over here. Trying to get my shoes on, but the cash flow has been an issue so far this year, and I'm trying to make things happen on limited funds. So that was the reason for the GoFundMe account. I had some customers of mine saying they would like to donate queens, so that's why I put the GoFundMe up. And I did have family members and stuff like that donated queens, and one customer just brought me cash and said, here, I didn't want to do it online, I wanted to give you the money directly. So little bit of help from the community, which is good. It's just a struggle. Profit apiaries, and they ship. Okay, I'll have to look at them. Let me see if I get my pen and write some of these down as they come up in the chat, so I can look. I found one that Holly Hawk. I always have a hard time with her name. Sent me, and CF Cohen and Son. They're out of California. Personally, I have not had good luck with queens out of California. I think it has to do more with the travel, right, of the queens, the overnight travel from California to South Carolina. And then they get here and they're getting blasted in the face with, 90-degree heat. And I just don't know what it is. Haven't had much good luck with queens from California. But if you guys know of queens that are usually typically mated well, I mean, I think sometimes when I buy queens, I know they send their guys out and say, hey, we need 100 queens today. and then you just get 10 of them or however many you're buying out of the group that they got, and there's no real there's quality control on what they probably told their guys they want, and then there's what actually happens when they get out to the hives and start pulling queens, right? Honey Strong and Smyrna for 35. Do they have them quite regularly, Hope? Because I was going to pull the trigger on some today, and then I looked at the weather after. I had an issue with the card first, and then I looked at the weather, and it's supposed to rain. So definitely need to get some. I've seen mostly Carniolans and Italians. I've seen some that sell Cordovan and Russians and stuff like that. So was real curious if anybody had any luck. Even like Man Lake sells if in fact you've had any luck with like Cordovan or Caucasian or anything other than the normal Carniolan Italian. I'd be curious to know how that's going for you, because I know some people swear by different breeds, and it's all good. But right now I've got Italian and Carniolans here in the yard, and was looking to possibly introduce some other genetics to try that. Hey Roy, hey Honeybee Scratcher, good to see you. And I'm doing all right. I've been sick for a little over a week. I've been killing the Theraflu and the Dayquil and the NyQuil and everything else, every other kind of quill. And the quill is not quelling the storm of the illness. So we've just been fighting along and hopefully finally overcome it, but it's not working well so far. Not working too well. I know. There we go. Here comes. Let's see if this worked. Big Mike.
Hey.
Better?
Seems a lot. Oh, much better.
Yeah, everybody was saying, well, we can hear you both fine. I said, yeah, sometimes it's a thing. Like, yeah,
I guess it isn't any better. You're all broken up again.
We've had it on here where James can't hear me talk at all. Everybody else can hear me, but James can't hear me or something. You sound fine. So if you can hear me, what has been going on in your world? What are you doing? Because we can hear you fine.
Well, now you're back to fine. Everything you just said was all broken up.
Oh, well, we can hear you fine.
Well, I can hear you fine now. I shut down everything other than this live chat.
So I saw you sent me some photos. You've been doing a little bit of grafting. Tell us about what you got going on.
Well, one of my friends was out scouting today, and he called me and said my purple hive he thought was about to swarm. So I went there after work and made 8 splits because it was ready to swarm.
So you split it all the way down to the bare necessities.
Well, it was a quadruple 6, so there was 24 frames.
Now
there was no room for anything anywhere.
Had you already grafted your queen? You've already grafted queens prior to that, though, right? So
you're all broken up again. I can't hear anything.
So I wonder if your graft will be ready by the time they're hopelessly queenless.
Maybe, but I left a cell in there.
You just dropped a finished cell in each one of them?
No, I took queen cells. There was that many queen cells.
On that many different frames, and just split it up 8 times and dropped it?
Yeah, some of them have 3 and 4 queen cells. She was ready to leave.
Well, I know when I get my queens, I'm going to I'm going to take an ass whipping. when I do it. So, and that's by design, right? Because I'm going to take those mean hives and they're just going to get split up. I mean, I'm going to harvest the honey, going to split the bees, going to drop them a new queen in, kill the old queen, and let them go. And
it'll make your beekeeping much nicer.
Well, I hope so. That's the goal, right? That's the goal. And that's when people said, well, why don't you just grab? I mean, yeah, I can do all that. I've done it. It's not a problem. Making the cells is not the problem. It's the return of the queen. And then it's not only that, but they're mating with the drones from my hives that I'm trying to change the genetics in, right? So the only way to really, I see to really do that is to go ahead and just get mated queens and hope that the queen breeder is getting you quality bred queens. Because I'm sure you've all gotten queens in the past where it looks like, what'd they do? She laid 3 eggs and then they pulled her and put her in your put her in the cage and sent her to you, right? It's like she's just not a very good queen when you get her. And I think that shows up a lot with that mated queen acceptance rate because her pheromones are probably not that strong. And that can affect the whole process. And at this point, I can't afford to throw away money. You know what I mean?
I just purchased 10 pole lines.
Where'd you end up getting those from? You got them from Troy?
No, the pole lines. I had a friend order 50, and I took 5. Then she went down. She got 2 orders of 25, and then I sold a bunch of nukes, and I really don't. I wanted to keep a couple of the pole lines for myself because they're doing really well. So they had to pick me up 5 more.
Do you know where she's getting them from?
It's from what the hell? They're coming from down south. They're supposed to be the VH line. I don't know.
Hey, Charlie.
Hey.
How you doing tonight?
Too bad. Just trying to catch up on stuff here.
Sound like you've been fighting a cold too.
No, I'm good.
I've been struggling with it. And it's not, I mean, during the day it'll get bad, but it's just like at night you get that little low grade fever and you just feel like miserable, right? Like you got the flu. So I'm not trying to do much of much.
No, I mean, I've been doing the same thing what you've been doing as far as fighting queens and trying to, get a quality queen that is going to lay a lot.
Well,
I want to see 6 or 8 frames of cat brood in there all the time.
Yeah, and it's this time of year, it's like, for me, if they're older queens, they're already starting to slow down some on their laying, and it's like, I'm just I'm trying to get queens for basically their next year's queens, right? They're gonna be the overwintered nukes. That's kind of the goal, to propel things, change some genetics. All these mean bees after 45 days or so will be gone.
I got a hive out there right now. That actually, it's that one there, that yellow one right behind my back right there. And you open that thing up and they are in your face. And they're queenless. And I put a cell in there a week or 2 ago. So I'm hoping if I can get in there during the middle of the day while the foragers are away, they're not as bad. So I can see whether or not any eggs are being laid.
Yeah, that's.
And I've been grafting last couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. And
how's your return on your mated queens? On your virgin queens.
On the virgin part, I've been dropping cells into my 2 frame mating boxes. And there was, I think, there were 5 in the mating box that didn't make it. Either they tore them down or done something. I had 1 cell that was a dud. Then I went I had put about 7 of them in different hives across the row there that were queenless. And I found one there yesterday or day before. It was a dud and all that. So I just walked over there and grabbed the queen with 2 frames of brood and whatever, and
dropped her in.
Dropped her right in.
Did they kill her or did they let her go?
Well, I guess she's all right. You know, she's only been hatched for 2 or 3 days.
Okay, so she's still a virgin then.
She's a virgin.
See, so that's my problem. Like, you remember, what was it 2 years ago? Everybody was just sending virgins all over the country, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's awesome. If you got great return rate on your virgin queens coming back on their mating flights, I don't. I haven't ever. And I'm not talking. It's not like just a this year thing.
Last year,
over 7 years, it's been that way.
Last year, I grafted. I had them hatch out in the cell builder in cages. They got fed right away. Nice looking virgins. And the introduction of them, I tried it 6 ways from Sunday. And some of them were okay and made it. And most of them, I had a high kill rate. And, you know, it's like.
And then what's even more frustrating to me is when you get that queen and she comes back mated and they let her lay a little tiny pattern and then they kill her and they make more cells to replace her. It's like,
yeah,
you know, what do you do?
I've been reading what's his name? GM Doolittle's book over here, his writings and stuff. And from what it's kind of like what the commercial guys do. And they don't, you know, it's the way you talk about something on Queenless Demery as a cell starter. Yeah, you can do that, Joe. I just, you know.
I bet you could even do it if you had her sequestered in the bottom. And, you know, if you did it with the 2 queen excluders and brought it like you're supposed to, and that top box.
Just put a double screen board upstairs.
I bet you could do it. Yep.
But in the books and the writings I read, you know, what they're doing is they're putting a cell in a 2-frame mating box or whatever, getting her. All right, she comes back, becomes mated. She's more or less in a nuke box, and you let her lay. And Bob Benning had that chart on there that they showed. After she's mated, she needs to lay for 3 weeks. 2 weeks, so acceptance rate. 3rd week, she seems to have the pheromones really pumping out. She's
found her groove, basically.
She found her groove. She knows she's the king of the hive, and you know she's not running across the frame. She's strolling along. Look at me, attitude, and that says something to the rest of them bees. So what Doolittle said is you go over there to the hive and you get that old queen out of her. You take that queen out, pinch it, whatever you want to do. Pull. He said take 3 frames and put her in the middle of her brood, her bees, in the middle of 3 frames, and just drop her right in. And she takes over. I figure, well, if I could do a 5-frame nuke, 4 frames, 5 frames, whatever, and just drop her in. Now, the only thing that I'll say, some people said they had some issues with that, but most people say about a 95% or more, good results. I'm going to go back. Like I did where I combined bees and I got some 1-to-1 sugar water with a little bit of
vanilla in it.
Well, either vanilla or I happen to have some peppermint oil and put a eyedropper of that in there, shook it all up, sprayed everybody in that hive. And then I had combined 2 hives into 1 hive. And it was like 3 hives all into 1. Sprayed everybody, put that box of bees on there, got that one settled in. Everybody was fine. Went over and got the 3rd box of bees, sprayed all them, sprayed the other ones again, and just dropped that box on there, and everything was fine. So I'm gonna try that. And also, I think if I can get a few virgins, I'm gonna try to, if she's well, I've already walked some virgins in that are like a day old. If she's 7 days old, then she's fully matured after the first week. And then
Hey, Brad.
I would say you need to spray her, put her in a cage, introduction cage, and let her get introduced. And I'm more of an experiment with that to see whether she would take. But I had I had a little nuke out there on the back. I think it's that little green lid job right there. And it was queenless, and I just dropped the cell in there. And I went in there a couple of days ago, and there's this great big. She looks like she's mated, but she's a virgin. That's how big she is. And I'm like, it just seemed like to me the better off to just make cells and drop them in about a day, 2 days, about 2 days ahead of time that they're when they're going to come out and let it go with that. My main thing is right now I'm on a schedule where I've got a bunch of nukes out there or two framers. I got virgins in there, get them mated. And by the time they get mated and by the time they get to laying for 3 weeks, I'm right around the end of June, right when I want to switch those old queens out. And I'm hoping to let her lay those 3 weeks. And of course, you'll be able to evaluate her better. Right. And hopefully, because I got some 25, put some my own queens in her, those 2025s. And this year's queens overall was better than last year because this is like only a 1-year-old queen that's in there this spring, but they didn't go like gangbusters like I liked. Now, whether that's because of the weather, I don't know. It was cold in April. It used to be 4 years ago or more. April come and everything was warm during the daytime. And this year, the locust bloomed 2 weeks sooner. It's finally got some rain, and now the poplar trees have been blooming. Yeah, of course, they got washed out. Here the last 3 weeks. We needed the rain terribly bad.
We kind of got that too, where we didn't have any rain. Everything bloomed, and then all of a sudden, when it did rain, like right now, it's knocking all the blooms off. Right.
Yeah, well, locust has been gone for a couple of weeks. The cherry trees have been gone for a couple of weeks. Locust is still blooming, and we're supposed to have a stretch of about 4 or 5 days here of good weather. So I went out there this afternoon and just went through each one. I'm just kind of checking my notes and my supers and how many, and I put on, I think, about 4 different supers on some hives that needed it. And, check some of my mating boxes. Some of them I got one there. If you got a really nice queen in there and you got a little bit of brood and those 2 framers, you got a nice population of bees. It all really works well. I got one out there that the queen was a dud, and the 2 frames of bees, they're all gone. They absconded
Well, see, that's what I'm noticing, and I've been doing it for the last few years. When I first started, I was making lots of like little small barnyard bee type splits, right? 1 frame splits, put a cell or let them make a cell and let it go. And it never really worked that well for me. And so James came here one year, the first time he came. Yeah. And he's like, it was February, I think, when he showed up the first time. And he said, just make bigger splits, make stronger splits, right? So I've started doing that, just making a more power, because first thing it does for me is buy me more time. It gives me more time to realize if something's didn't work like I had intended it to, or, they're having issues. It buys me more time. When you do 1 frame of bees, and it's going to have a mix. You need to have eggs and larvae on there for them to make a queen cell if you're doing a walkaway. And it's only a 2 frame box. So if you put too much in there, they get too populated. They want to leave anyway. If you put too little and the queen goes out, hatches out in 2 weeks and never comes back, well, then you're repeating the process. You're just recycling your resources. where if they got more power, it makes it a little bit.
My
easier.
biggest problem is I patterned my thing off of Barnyard Bees. Or I think it was Barnyard, wasn't it?
Yeah. All you got to do is put a frame of eggs with some.
Well, I mean, he had a 2-frame mating box, and I made them just like that. And if I had it to do all over again, if I was going to make them, I'd go 3 or 4 frames, but I would go at least 3 frames. But I got to thinking about it here lately. It's like you might as well just keep with a 5-frame nuke box, and it's standardized. And and I got some extra nuke stuff out here, so I'm starting out in 2-frame because of resource problems, and once I kind of get things established with that queen that's mated, then I'll switch them over to a 5-frame box.
Yeah, that's the I learned that one the hard way too, Charlie. I've got a ton of 2-frame equipment, and honestly, if you're going to do 2-framers and you're my size or maybe Charlie's size, I wouldn't recommend more than probably like 5 of those. Right? I mean,
I got 32 of them sitting out.
Yeah, I got like that many. I got a lot out there too. But what I'm saying is that you're not going to do more than about, if you got 20 colonies, if you do 5, you're doing a quarter of your colonies. I mean, you're making queens for a quarter, right? Or a quarter expansion, however you want to do it. But it just seems like you might as well use a 5-frame, because then you get that queen back and she comes back to the box, and now you got a little bit of time for the expansion. And if they fill that up really quickly, guess what? Take another 5-framer and throw it on top. And when they get 8 or 9 of those frames, then you can move it to a 10-frame box or an 8-frame box, however you want to do it. And it just, it makes more sense going back to like what Brad says. It's kind of like standardizing your operation to where, why am I going to get deeps and mediums? Just get all deeps, or just get all mediums, or, that way you got one size frame, one size box. You're not having to dig through. Nothing makes me madder than when I'm going through boxes and my stupid behind has taken all medium frames and put it in a deep box because that's what was there. And then you pull it all apart. Now I'm going to look for 10 frames to replace those. It just makes it a little bit something. But Brad, how are you doing today? I haven't even spoke to you directly today.
He's been in the sun, it looks like.
You muted.
Sorry about that. I have been in the sun most of the day. A little tired, but had a good day. We're finally getting some nice weather. And oh, howdy, is it going to be nice. It's going to be a little too warm, I think. Next few days it's going to be in the mid-30s here. And for reference, 80s, Canadians right? Melt at 30. So
freeze at 0 and
yeah,
freeze at 0 and melt at 30.
That's right.
86 degrees.
So that's 86. 30 is 86.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be 90 or better F probably here.
Now you still have a nice breeze for the most part, right?
Usually. We get those stagnant hot days, midsummer, but right now it's still a bit of a breeze. So today was really nice, 28 today, so would have been close to that. Did 10 transfers, put those double 6s into 10s. Got a good look at them. Worked on the tractor, got the snowblower put away. That's optimism. I'm taking a risk putting the snowblower away.
At this time of year?
It's not June yet, so anything can happen.
Well, see, that's kind of, it's been so messed up. Do we have an El Nino or whatever they call them this year?
Yeah, I think we do. I got something going on. And I called it weeks ago. I was saying, this cold weather we're having, it won't get warm. And when it does warm up, it's going to get really warm. And I was right. It goes from too cold to 35 degrees.
So that's like Ian was showing there, where you guys had that horrendous windstorm up there. It looked like the Dust Bowl.
Yeah, we had a terrible wind. There was dust coming up from Montana.
It was
into
like
here.
about like 80 mile an hour or something like that.
Crazy. Oh yeah. Yeah. It was pretty bad.
And I think what it was, he was showing them when they were driving. I guess the ground was dry and all that dirt was up in the air.
Yeah, but the dirt didn't come from here. It was all from the south. It was all that American dirt. So way worse than domestic dirt.
Import dirt.
Yeah. They didn't stop at the border and see if it was okay to import it either. It's all over the place. Everything's coated with it. It looks terrible. I've never seen dirt like that. It's just awful.
Well, we're still in May and we have bearding outside, except for my poly hives, but my wooden hives, there's a lot of bees on the outside,
Well, we're still 2 to 3 weeks behind, but I'm looking at those colonies today and they're starting to get their acting gear.
Get their legs under them, so to speak.
Yeah, they're starting to get their legs under them. They're starting to get some patterns going, and yeah, because it's warm now, so they can lay like crazy. Oh, and we got dandelions. So our dandelions started here yesterday, and so there's actually dandelion nectar being stored.
We got a lot of dandelions here right now, and I've personally not seen a bee on a dandelion in my yard. Doesn't mean they're not there, just I haven't witnessed it,
Yeah.
But
I see them. Not, it's not filthy with bees on the dandelions, but I can see it in the hives. I open the hive and there's lots of nectar in there. I mean, it's not going to make frames of honey or anything, but they're getting a good feed off of them right now. I'm so happy. I'm so happy about that.
Well, it's interesting because we were talking, I don't know how much you caught before you came in, but we were talking about queens and late season splits. For me, it's a late season split, but you're doing early season splits at the time I'm doing late season splits, so it's kind of correlating as in time for splitting, right? So that's interesting that we do kind of overlap a little bit at the end of the season. For me,
my internet dropped out, and so I missed a little bit of that. But
no, I was just saying that you're starting to do splits, your early season splits, and I'm getting ready to do late season splits. So it's kind of
normally, like a normal year, I'd be splitting by the 10th to 15th of May. I had some stuff that was pushing my season. I wouldn't have made those splits. I've made 14. I wouldn't have made them if my hand had not been pushed. I would have waited, probably till the 1st of June, maybe even next week, which is the 1st of June. Just because they have more girth now. They're getting more girth every day, so I'd have a lot more to choose from.
Is the so I guess we talk about it every year, so we might as well talk about it again this year. And we all know like the 3 foot, 3 mile kind of rule, right? You make a colony, you move it, right?
Right.
You get it, you move it. And do you mind going over your process for how you do it, as far as, because you don't do that all the time?
No.
Basically
I almost never do. I almost never do because of my infrastructure. It's so easy for me to not do it. I have out yards. I could do it, but then there's miles of driving and loading bees, unloading bees, and stuff like that. But I have a building where I can keep a few nukes cool, and I have my little tractor, as you know, and so I make splits. I just put them. I prefer to make them in a box that I can close up. So either one of my 4-frame wooden boxes, I can close the entrance on that, or Pro Nukes. So this time I was using Pro Nukes. I could close the door, and I just take them over to my building, set them in there. I set a box fan on them just to keep the air moving, keep them as cool as I can. And it's still pretty cool in the building, but I have a big air conditioner too if I need to do this mid-season. And I find that I leave them there for 2 nights, and then I move them back out. I try to move them out as early in the day as I can so they don't drift so bad. and I find that one day of no flight kind of makes the bees forget where they live.
So, so for like me, if I were to do that and make a split into a pro nuke, have them locked in, put them in my honey house. If I did it today, you would count tonight where we're speaking, and then tomorrow night, and then you would take them out the morning of the next day.
Yeah, and the way I remember that is if I put them in yesterday, I can usually remember most about what I did yesterday. But I might not remember, 3 or 4 days, I might not remember which day I did it. So it's not when I need to move them out, it's when I need to not move them out. And that's yesterday. If I put them in there yesterday, then I can't move them out. If I didn't, then I can bring them out now. And if they're in there for three nights, that's fine. I actually this last round I did leave in for, I don't remember. It was at least 3 nights. I left them in there. No big deal. It's just
so if they
had
any eggs in there, by the time you bring them out, they have already started queen cells for the most part.
For the most part, they will. Yeah.
Now, so, when you bring them back out, are you typically going back through them at that point and then knocking those cells down?
Yeah, it really depends on the purpose of them, and again, and what's going on. Like I was getting queens on Monday, so I was forced to kind of hurry along, and I went through them to find the rogue cells as I was putting the queens in. So I would take the brood frames out, shake the bees off, get rid of the rogue cells, and then install the new queen with the candy plug. So I think that'll work okay. Should be all right. I don't like to do that that close when I'm introducing virgins. I just like the little nuke to be far more calm. I don't want to shake the bees off. I have done it, but I don't shake the bees off. So it's easy to miss a rogue cell when you don't
one
shake
on the
bees
side
off.
Next to the wooden frame, right?
Yeah. The bees will be sitting on it, and you can't see it. But I don't like to stir them up when I'm going to be dropping a live virgin on the top bars. So I do that. I do that all the time for my mating nukes. I'll make my mating nukes. My mating nukes are 4-frame deep box. So just go in the apiary, find some brood frames. Make sure I don't have a queen on it. Put that in the 4-framer, off to the building for 2 nights, and then I can. I'll give them a few days because really, I think from egg lay to out of the woods with rogue cells, you're probably up to 5 days. So I'll give them some time.
You said something that that has become more part of my beekeeping as I've been doing this, especially since I've been associating with you, is you said, well, it depends on what purpose. I think that's how you phrased it. What purpose?
Objectives.
Your objective, right?
What are your objectives?
What are you trying to do, right? What is the end goal for what you're trying to do? And I think when I started beekeeping, I couldn't always define that, right? It was more of, hey, I'm just going in here to see what's going on, right?
Yeah.
And now it's become, I don't have anything I need to do with this colony. I find myself a lot nowadays popping the lid, observing the top. You can tell a lot just by opening the top and seeing what's going on down through the top, right? Without really tearing them apart. So as far as having a purpose on why you're going in a colony makes a big difference, right?
I hear people kind of get on new beekeepers about that. Oh, don't go in your bees. No, leave your bees alone. Don't go in your bees. And I have a mixed opinion on that. To me, a new beekeeper, you go in your bees. Go in your bees.
Yeah. Be excited
look at your bees. Like be as non-intrusive as you can. Like learn good management skills so you can pull frames without rolling bees, without killing your queen, all kind of stuff. Pull the frames, look at the frames, identify what's on the frames, watch their development, go in your bees regularly, once a week at least. Probably not more than, once every 5 days, I'd say. But that's so that you can get a good handle on what normal looks like. Because once you know what normal looks like, you'll spot problems in a second. But then after you get some more experience and you kind of know what normal looks like, and you kind of, you can say, I looked in my bees 2 weeks ago. I kind of have enough experience to know sort of what's happening, so I don't need to go in my bees. Or like you say, I can lift the lid, look down between the frames. I can tell what's going on, right? So then, you don't need to go in your bees as much. So then the rule that have a plan comes into force, right?
Right.
It's don't open that lid until why are you opening the lid? You have to answer that question. Why are you opening the lid? Curiosity is not a good reason. Right? Unless you're in that early stage, right?
A lot of times, I mean, now I like to say that I can work my bees in half as much time because I'm only looking at half as many bees. I mean, I might be looking at every colony, but I'm not going through 10 frames, right? If it's a single deep, I'm going through 3 or 4.
Yeah.
I'm good.
And I was doing that exactly today. I went, I had two of my 10 framers that I wintered indoors, and they're doing pretty good. And the first one, I thought, I'm going to look at this. I opened it up. I went through every frame. Got a good cross section of what's going on in there. Kind of made a plan in my head. What's the next thing for this hive? And then the one beside it, I opened up and I looked and I thought right away, well, this looks very similar. I probably went through 4 or 5 frames and then I stopped and I put it all back together because I can surmise what the rest of the thing looks like and what the plan going forward is for that colony.
Well, and I think when we first start, we're more apt to want to look for the queen. Where's the queen? Did I see the queen? Where's she at? And now it's like
looking for the queen. Don't look for the queen unless you have to.
I start on the outside. Okay, I should see food, right? Of some sort. There should be some nectar or comb being drawn. And then as I move in, I should see eggs, brood, and larva. If I see eggs, brood, and larva, the queen has been in there within at least the last day. Right?
And that's why my little thing when I talk to new people and they're all, well, I can't find my queen. I can't find my queen. Oh, I can't find my queen. I was in my hive and I can't find my queen. I never did find my queen. I can't find my queen. And I'll just tell them, well, you don't need a queen. And they say, what? You don't need a queen. You don't need a queen. What are you talking about? You don't need a queen. You've been keeping bees for 10, 11 years and you say you don't need a queen? No, you don't need a queen. Well, why you say that? And I tell them, you need something in there laying eggs is what you need. So don't look for, you don't need to, it doesn't matter. Don't bother looking for the queen. Look for the eggs. You need something laying eggs is what you need. Because even if you have a queen, she might be a dud, right? She might be a drone layer. She might not be out of ammunition altogether. She might not be laying any eggs. I had one of yesterday. So that rule applies even more. You need something laying eggs. You don't just need a queen, right?
I went through the
hive that let me mute Charlie here. There you go.
So that's kind of
yeah, and it's the subtle little things that you pick up, through the beekeeping chats. And, just talking to other beekeepers is that sometimes it's just the littlest thing that you could tweak about your operation and make you a much more successful beekeeper. And it could be just something like, hey, I was in that hive last week and they were small so I know as long as the queen's alive in that box, which I'm assuming she is, then I could probably not even look in that hive this week. And just after
the first thing I'll tell a new beekeeper, you need to know the life cycle of the bee like the back of your hand. There should be nothing about that the timing, I mean, you need to
Right.
know that. I mean, you don't need to know every intricate detail about how many cocoons they spin and stuff like that, but you need to know egg lay to hatch to capping to emergence for the worker, especially the worker, the queen, the drone. You need to know that absolutely 100% like the back of your hand. For example, I was doing something today. I was looking through that 10 framer, and I was trying to extrapolate into the future, like what's going to happen here. And so I thought, well, I have, I don't know what I had, say 5 frames of brood in it, which is pretty good for this time of year. Um, Pretty good, meaning I don't want a lot more because it could end up swarming. So then I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, okay, we're approaching peak season for laying. So the queen is probably now laying likely 1,500 eggs a day, maybe 1,000, 1,500 eggs a day. And I'm thinking, okay, if I have 5 frames of brood, it means I have 5 frames with no brood. And there's 3,500 cells on one side of a frame. So it'll take just a little more than 2 days to fill one side of a frame. So it'll take, 4 days plus to fill two sides of a frame. So times 5, right? And so then I was thinking, well, that's a couple of weeks to fill all the rest of those frames with brood. Now there's a lot of other things at play, right? They're packing that thing out with pollen. They're bringing in that nice dandelion flow, so they're starting to backfill a bit, and so I can't just depend on that math. But when I was sitting there, I was just kind of thinking, okay, well, how long is it going to take her to really need that space? And knowing the life cycle, knowing how fast the queen lays eggs, you know what? A friend of mine, actually, I mentored her when she started, and she's outgrowing me by 1,000. She's so smart. We were in a meeting, and she said they were talking about how many eggs the queen lays in a day, and she said, "Do you know how you can easily tell how many eggs your queen is laying? Who can tell me? What's the easiest way for you to know how many eggs that queen is laying in a day?
No idea.
Count your eggs and divide by 3." Now
Count the eggs.
you're not going to count every individual egg, but you can take a cross section, and say there's 20 cells in this section. You can say, okay, there's how many sections of 20 cells, so maybe there's 50 sections of 20 cells. Divide by 3. She's laying, 300, 400 eggs a day, that sort of thing. So it blew me away when she said that. It was, well, just count the eggs and divide by 3, because we all know that the eggs are an egg for 3 days, right?
Right. That's true.
It makes perfect sense.
And
So
then
those things help you so much. And then when you get into doing queens, regardless of how you're raising queens, knowing the life cycle of the queen really helps you out a lot. You find a cell in a hive and you think, uh-oh, when is this cell going to emerge? Well, you need to know how old the cell is. And if you look at queen cells at different stages in their development, you'll learn to recognize the ages of the cells, because it's, again, capped about day 8, emerges 8 days later. You'll build an age that progression between day 8 and day 16 within 2 to 3 days,
right.
right? You certainly can easily tell a cell that's within 24 to 36 hours of emerging. That's easy to tell. There's some real distinctions that tell you that.
Well,
So, yeah,
that's kind of why they say that a single brood chamber management, Charlie. And, that's everybody probably forgot that joke. It's been so long, but
yeah, that's like 4 years old.
but the queen can never outlay that box, right? If it's just
Queen can't lay enough eggs to fill a 10-frame box. However, like I said before, there's more in that box than just eggs, right? There's pollen, there's nectar, there's feed, there's honey, whatever.
Now, is it your experience, and I've heard different schools of thought on this, that once you put a queen excluder in a second box on it, that the bees will actually start moving that nectar and honey from the bottom box up to the top box? Or
Yes,
do you figure they will? So that's your experience.
Yes, they will.
Because I've heard that, and then I've heard, nope, once it's full, that's like room spent. And
well, again, in beekeeping, the only absolute is that there are no absolutes. So is it guaranteed that they're going to move it up every time when you do that? No. If you let the thing get completely backfilled and plugged out,
they're not going
to. You're probably beyond, saving that. But if you pull some of that above the excluder and put some fresh comb in the bottom, then yeah, you're good. Yeah, they'll clean that out and they'll move it up. And here's a danger in that. A lot of us feed up sugar syrup in the fall. A lot of us feed sugar syrup in the spring, or at some point, before a honey flow. So
right.
If you've been feeding sugar syrup and they've packed that away, you got those outside frames, you got the 2 on the outside or the 4 on the outside. They may fill those with syrup, and then when the honey flow comes along and you add queen excluder and you add honey supers, they can move that syrup up too. So guess what you have in your honey now, right? So I mean, it's not going to be that much, but still, it's just something to think about that can happen.
Still less than what you'd find in the store at any of the brands you pick to buy, for the most part.
Less than you find in a bottle of Billy V, that's for sure.
So yeah, I mean it's interesting that this is why I love this group so much, and specifically, we do have a multitude of Canadians that are in the chat and do come on. So as our season is starting to wind down, yours is just starting to wind up. So it kind of perpetuates the beekeeping season for me, right? So
yeah, it's kind of weird, isn't it? How that goes. I wait for months. You guys are all beekeeping away and having a good time, and I'm just sitting here pouting. It's not fair.
Yeah, well, right? Big Mike's just getting started good too, though. I mean,
you get to play bees, and yeah, Mike's climate not wildly different than mine. You guys a lot more.
So I have a question, Brad.
Yes, sir.
Back to what you do when you bring your nukes into your garage. If you were making the nukes with swarm cells, do you do the same thing?
No, I wouldn't move the cells around like that.
So would you just put them in another box? Right in the apiary? Because that's all I do.
I don't do that a lot. So I have though. So if I'm going to use a swarm cell, first of all, it's harder to use a pronuke because a swarm cell generally protrudes below the frame, and pronuke's got no space down there. Neither does a jester. Most
but
of
the
my
jester, if we put a 3/4 block in on those rails, you can put swarm cells in there.
Yeah, there's a little bit of headroom there.
Yeah, because I keep 2 blocks in each one of mine.
But regardless, yeah, that's a good question. It's a good way to make queens, I think. But yeah, how would you do that? You really need to keep them in the hive for a 24-hour period.
Yeah, I just take them and put them in hives.
One day of flight. What you can do, what I've done that does work really well is it takes you a little bit longer, but is to move brood above a queen excluder, shake all the bees off, move the brood above the queen excluder, and then come back. I usually come back the next day. I find it works really well. And then you can take those frames of brood and the adherent bees and put them in another box, put them in a pronuke or a jester, whatever you want, right? And what you have is almost all house bees. and they're going to stay in that box. I've done that a lot, and I've noticed that they stay in the box because they've never been outside, so they don't know any different. So I find that works really well too.
Yeah, I was up where I have all my double nukes, so I have double nukes empty everywhere, and I just was pulling 2 frames, one with a queen cell. I went into a licensed 6 frame that was 4 high, so there was 24 frames. It was packed out. I made 8 splits.
Nice. So I have done that with swarm cells. I'll take the box. I'll get all the bees off of the frames. Make sure I don't have the queen. Is the whole idea. You don't want to shake cells, so if you've got to get the bees off, you have to brush them. I'll put a shim on my box, then I'll put the next hive body, put all those brood frames in there with my swarm cells, and then wait till the next day. I have to make sure the swarm cells aren't going to merge in that 24 hours, and then the next day I can come and put them in a smaller box and move them elsewhere in the apiary. I've done that a lot. It works really well.
My first license that swarmed, that was only 3 high. I came up there and it was on one of my mating nuke boxes, and I scooped it into an 8 frame. It was a good sized swarm, and I made 2 more splits with queen cells. There was one left that I'd set off to the side, and as I picked it up, I watched her pop the cap and merge, and I put her right in the house. I said,
Oh, wow.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
You know,
I've done the same kind of thing, but not been so lucky. Like, see the cell, and then, oh, I'll go get a box and bring the box back, and now the cell is open. It's like, crap. Now she's going to kill my queen.
Hey, David.
What's up, David?
Hey, guys. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, David.
Great. Hey.
What's going on in David's world?
Well, I'm enjoying the conversation tonight. I thought I could bring up to speed just as a quick on mine. We did our first grafting on May 12th, which is a little bit late for us, but it's been a very cold spring. And the day we did our grafting, we were chilled. It was a cool day to be grafting, but we had to get started because the bees are building regardless. The cold doesn't matter with the system I use. They're building their populations. So we started. We had treated with our Formic Pro on the 7th. We did our first grafting on the 5th in hives that we had built into the design I've discussed earlier. And the bees were moving along so quickly that on the 15th, I started making splits. And so that mid-May split that we're taking, we left the 1 frame with the queen, 1 frame of open brood with the queen in the parent site. And then all the other brood we made up into splits. So we got 3 to 4 splits out of each parent hive. And we just left that queen as if she had swarmed and been there for a week, because 1 frame of brood is about a week of laying. To talk to what Brad was saying, if you can, it takes about a week to lay up a full hard frame, corner to corner. So it's as if they had swarmed in May, because all the field force within that yard, we just let them return to that site as we're working, and just leave the nurse bees that are sticking on the brood frames to what we transfer and add cells to. So the last of the cells, we did our last of our cells last Saturday morning. We put in our last 45 cells, which was the 23rd of May. And so now we just have to wait for 35 days for the whole cycle, because it takes 2 weeks to make the queen, and then she has 21 days until her own brood emerges, which was talked about later. When her own brood is with her, it changes her demeanor, like she's now queen of the colony, and she conducts herself accordingly in the presence of her own emerging brood. And that'll time out to being, roughly 2 weeks before the honey flow hits hard, typically with us, sometime that first week of July. So that's been, just to give you a time frame of what I've done in my own outfit. So that's the outfit that I'm in the current process of transferring over to my daughter. So we took about 70 colonies and converted them into 182 over that 10-day process. So, and they'll all be expected to be a full box of brood, or 2 cycles for the parent queen, just ready to go into the honey flow, and then 1 full box of brood for all the offspring hives at the time that we put them in. The honey flow is going to start. And then in the research yards of Not Apiary products, we were in them and dealing with a lot of swarm cells on Monday. And we move the mother. We leave the dot on the site where the swarm cells are. We don't knock down the swarm cells. We just leave them within the same yard. So all the field bees, all the flying bees return to the site where the cells are. And the mother, we just set off on a different site within the yard. She loses her field force. We might even grab a frame or 2 of brood if we want to bolster other hives from her. But essentially we had 10 colonies going in. 2 had already swarmed, but we ended up with 17 by the time we left. So that sort of gives you an umbrella of what my last 2 weeks have been. If that makes sense. It sounds like a knowledgeable group. So,
but you have so moving off the mother queen, the original queen, that gives her or her bees the feeling that, hey, we've just swarmed, right? So there's no need for that. And then the new queen cell, the swarm queen cell that you left behind, when that hatches, those bees just stay right there. They don't feel like, hey, we got to go once that hatches out.
Well, typically we don't leave a lot of brood behind for that cell. So if there's, she gets 3 frames on average, and the rest are a couple feed frames and then empty comb. So that's the swarm cell starter hive on the site of the mother. And the mother that we've taken off, she's lost her oldest brood, because we'll transfer that. And so her remaining bees, which can only be the young nurse bees, they're not dialed in to swarming. So we've had good success with that. We are able to split that again sometimes. So we'll actually start. We're going over a calendar for when we're going to graft for the NOD research bees to have colonies for testing products this fall. So we just did our calendar, and I think it's the 8th of June. We'll be starting 2 rounds of grafting to have colonies in the correct condition for going into field studies come mid-August.
Okay. That sounds like you guys got a lot of work ahead of you.
Part of the job. I'm not a fan of buying in queens. I'm just the quality of a queen that's never been in a cage, that's allowed to lay in her own comb right from breaking out of the gate without being transferred into other environments.
Right.
I'm just a big fan of that. And also you get to pick the hives that are thriving as your genetic base. So just go with that.
Yeah, and a couple years ago, that was really my goal, was to just graft my own queens and do that. I just have a very poor return of queens for whatever reason, whether it's birds or lizards. You can walk out to my apiary and you'll see a lizard hanging out on the front of a beehive. I think it's just waiting for a bee to take a break and shoot, get it. So, we just get all that stuff.
Yeah.
all that stuff. So
the University of Guelph used an island called Peely Island as an isolated mating yard for a while, but it turns out that the island was on a migratory bird route and they had to abandon it.
Because it's getting torn up.
Bees are low on the food chain. Like we raise bees to feed many things as well as gather their honey. So.
Well, if they ate dead bees, it'd be great, because, every 45 days they're getting like a wealth of bees that are just dropping dead somewhere. But yeah, but other than that, I mean, as far as my apiaries, they're looking pretty good. I just have some very overly aggressive colonies, a few of them, not all of them, but a few of them are. and I just really want to demoralize them and kill that queen and break them down, as far as I can break them down and give them a nice new mated queen of some stock that's not from mine, to try to change that genetic in my yard. So that's kind of the goal that I'm trying to do at the end of the season here, get some nukes set up for next spring to where they're ready to go right out of the gate. And so, yeah, that's kind of what I'm working on right now.
Sounds solid.
Once this bad weather and my cold goes away that I've been fighting for a week, I'll be fine. This was like a last minute decision. I thought, Brad, when did you send me that message? It was like not long ago, and it might have been 7 o'clock. He's like, "You going live tonight?" And I think it was 7:30 or so. I'm like, "Here's a link," because I didn't know. I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna make it 2 hours tonight, but we're doing good tonight, so we're sticking with it.
It was 5 after 6. I sent it to you.
Oh, it was.
You were feeling well enough.
When I saw it. No, I've been laid up in bed all day.
Well, yeah,
terrible.
Yeah, 5 after 6 my time. So.
Oh yeah. So it was later for me, but yeah, the not feeling well. Weather's terrible right now, so we're just doing what we can.
Finally got the warm weather, and I'm feeling like a young man again. But then I work for 10 minutes and I lose that feeling.
You're like, oh my God, it's hot out here.
I go to do work at the bee yard and think, I'm going to do all kinds of stuff today. And I get 5 hives in and think, oh man, how many
That's
more
how
can I
I
do?
was yesterday. I wasn't feeling well, and I was like, you know what, but I want to do something. So I skimmed off the buckets of honey that I've harvested already, and I started putting the cappings into a mesh bag so I could crush the honey out of them. Charlie, I got you muted. I don't know if you're unmute or not, or if I need to unmute you again. There you go.
I turned the mic off.
And and I was out there. I had like 5 buckets of honey to do or something like that. I got 1 bucket done. And I was like, you know what? I mean, I scraped all the stuff off the top, but then I was going to run it through a 200 micron filter just to make sure I didn't have any bugs or, the stray beetle got in there or something like that to get it out of there. And yeah, I did 1 bucket and I was like, yeah, I'm done. Just it's so humid now that I walk.
And you're under the weather too, so you're not going to want to feel like doing too much.
No, I really don't.
But I fussed with the tractor for a few hours before I tied into the bees, so it was 1 o'clock, I think, by the time I got to the bee yard.
I was like Brad last weekend. I took the snow plow and sander off the tractor.
Yeah,
it's just weird. Well, no snow now, and the forecast goes till June, so it looks like we're okay. And then we had a frost. But at least we had no snow with it.
Cross your fingers, take the snowblower off.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's usually not a problem, but.
So I just wanted to jump in and share because so much good talk about Queen, what was happening. So I'll step out. You can get someone else into the talk.
Go ahead, Charlie. What?
I say we got more room. I think we got what?
Oh yeah,
we got room for 1 more person.
I hope to start my cell builder on the 6th. I'm doing a workshop on the 6th, so I'm going to build my cell builder on the 6th, just to show the new people. So hopefully I can get some queens going after that.
I will be at a market on the 6th.
So
doing a market.
Doing a market on the 6th. At least it's supposed to.
I was listening to David here on another live stream, or another one of Bob's live streams a while back. So, hey, David, I sound like to me you're quite a queen breeder of some sort.
Are you talking to me or no?
Yeah.
No, I'm. These are for my own purposes. So, I just graft from the hives that are doing the best. I don't run it as a breeding program. I just try to listen to what the bees are. I, of course, will pay attention to gentleness. I won't put up with any nonsense. But
Preach it.
other than that, it's the hives that are
Can't
doing
keep
the
bees
best.
in short pants. You need different bees.
I will video when I get my queens coming in. I will video me breaking this hive down so you guys can see exactly what I deal with this colony.
In short pants.
No, hell no. No.
So David,
David's the CEO of Nod, by the way, if you're not familiar, Charlie.
Oh, okay.
Formic Pro.
Formic Pro, yeah, I use it. Let's see what I was going to ask you. You get your queens, and you're putting in what type of a mating box? As far as, are you a 2-framer, a 5-frame, or what?
Yeah, so we have 4-frame.
4-frame box.
We call it the bee brief. It's got an upper slotted entrance with a snap over lid, and they were manufactured over 20 years ago, and we set them out on the future stands where the hives will go, and then after 30 minimum days, typically 35, we'll transfer them into full-size equipment, and they'll be busting out. And they've got 1 frame of feed, 1 frame of foundation, and always 2 frames of cat brood. That's the base unit. So it's pretty strong for a mating nuke, but we don't really consider it a mating nuke. We just consider it a pre-hive, a pre-full-size hive.
So you're doing what I tend to do, kind of the same thing. I don't raise queens, mate them, and then pluck them, and I don't really sell a lot of queens. I've sold a few, but so that's basically what I do too. I'll just it'll be mated in a box, and then if they need to grow into larger boxes, that's great.
So one of the yards we set up is a new site, so I put in 32 of these boxes, and so when I go through them, anyone that wasn't successful I don't play with. I simply use the resources to fill out the frame count on the ones that were successful, and I always sort of leave the last 3 or 4, and I check them all at the end before transferring, because it's always going to be the last one that isn't right, or the last 2, and you've already filled in all your frame spaces. So I'll just confirm that the last sort of grouping of them are all what their queen status is before I do the final setup into full-size equipment. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I mean, usually what I'm trying to do is I'm developing, I want to get mated, make my own queens, get them mated, and then I want to be able to go in and replace all the queens that I have each year, so they're fresh queens coming into the spring of the next year. And I didn't know whether you had a better process of doing that or not. And my thing right now is to try to make, let's say, a 5-frame nuke, get her built up to where she's been laying for at least 3 weeks, and with the brood, and with all her bees and brood and pheromone smells and all that stuff, put her in between, let's say, 4 frames, and then go over here to a 10-frame high, pull the old queen out, and just drop that nuke right in there. I mean, that's what I've read with that GM Doolittle book.
Jamie Ellis talks about that too, and without going through too much detail, kind of the essence of what he describes on how to do it is typically, you can get that colony on, say, 5 frames or 6 frames. If your nuke is maybe 4 frames or 5 frames, he'll take that and he'll slide it right to one side of that 10-framer, and then he'll put the nuke on the other side. And so on between the two, there's a frame or 2 of honey. So he described that to me, and I said to him, that's your newspaper, and he said, yes, that's your newspaper. So
right,
equating it to something like what people would do a newspaper combined.
So what you're saying is you're putting 5 frames off to the left or right, and then they'll kind of come together.
Yeah, it
Okay.
takes a little bit of time, and like I say, I termed it the newspaper. The frame or two of honey in the center is sort of the moderator between the two to meet and shake hands. I mean, in my operation, I quite often use shared honey supers, right? And people say, "Oh, don't the bees fight?" No, they don't fight. So maybe it's the same kind of dynamic. They're on these honey frames. Maybe they're completely fine with each other, but it just gives them a little bit of time before they really end up being one unit. Like he'll do what you said, Charlie. He'll go in, take the old queen out, kill her or whatever, and then
Mm.
shove that thing right to one side. Put your nuke in the other side
I'm
with
just looking for
a frame or two of honey in between.
used to be, oh, you got to wait 7 days, and then you got to go back and
Yeah.
cut out the queen cells, and then you put, I'm like, hey, if I can go, GM Doolittle talks about that. He wrote about it 125 years ago, and dropping it in there like that, and he was like about a 99%, success rate, is what he was writing about.
Do you run two frame? I'm sorry, double brood chamber hives or single brood chamber hives, Charlie?
I'm running actually going through the winter is 3 medium. I'm all mediums is the
They're
thing.
all mediums. Okay.
Yeah, and all that. Right now I'm running for the honey. I'm running 2 medium boxes, just basically like a single brood chamber.
Right.
As far as the size goes.
So
Yeah.
you say a single medium as your brood chamber for honey flow?
Well, for honey flow, I got 2 medium box. I run everything as mediums completely.
Right. Yep.
So I'm putting it for my brood chamber for my queen. I'm running 2 medium boxes, 10 or 20 frames, 20 medium frames.
Yeah. So when I was working with commercial beekeepers getting started, they ran double brood chamber full size equipment, and then in the spring they would take a bona fide intercover was what they used, but it would be a third honey super as a brood chamber on top, and so they would introduce the queen into that box that was up top, and once she was established, they'd combine that third box onto the double brood chamber colony below. And then come November, they would shake out the bottom box. They would just that's how they would prepare their colonies. And they ran 2/3 of their outfit with that triple brood chamber design, but full size brood chambers. And they had really good success with replacing the older queen below by uniting that new queen on when she was established with her own brood just through the newspaper method. But a lot of honey was lost because of the volume there. Now you're working 6 and 5/8 supers, the mediums, so you could run the same process, but it would just be you wouldn't have as much volume for them to pack away a lot of honey in, which is what you want.
I was talking to a guy here in Virginia who he's more of a queen breeder. He trying to do a lot of hygienics and stuff, and something that he stated, which sounds pretty good, is that if you it's like Bob Binney, where he runs a double screen board up on top and then starts that quote nuke up there. If I started another medium box up there, put that new queen upstairs, let her build that medium box out, as far as brood and food and all that stuff. And then come, the 1st of July or something like that, when our honey season's over with by that time, I think it's kind of like just what you said, take the old queen out from the bottom and then, like you say, do a newspaper combined with that medium box into that brood chamber downstairs.
Well, they didn't bother removing the old queen. They would just let the new queen gradually do dominance.
Okay.
And so they didn't
old.
have to. They let the bees sort out themselves, who would be the matriarch coming out in the spring.
Right.
But what they really liked about it was going into the honey flow. They would have had 2 queens laying full on for 6 weeks, and then when they combine them into a single bottom board through the newspaper method, the honey flow itself mitigated the aggression between the queens because the bees are so caught up with the honey flow, and then they would just let the colonies themselves sort out who would be. It was typically would be the younger queen.
Yeah.
But then come November, to manage resources, they just simply knocked it down to a double brood chamber by shaking out the bottom brood chamber, a third one that was on the bottom. And just that actually gave them a resources for come April, they'd flip that over queen excluder onto hives to repeat the whole process, because that was what people did before there was pollen patties, was they let bee prepared frames be used to stimulate the spring buildup. And I do a similar system, but without as much work. I'm lazier. So with that with your triple mediums, that system would work. Another thing, they had an inner cover that they used. It had a modified lip, so it would have an entrance by setting back that top brood box a little bit. So that just allowed some bee flight and the drones to get out without a lot of need for a large number of field bees to defend the entrances. What I like to do is I have a regular bottom board, except it's just a flat plywood bottom. And I use those dial opening things you see on nukes where you can turn it to whatever opening. So when I, for example, have weak hive in the spring and I want the bees from a strong colony below to come up, I'll set that bottom board with the dial turned to the queen excluder. So I'll have my strong brood chamber on the bottom, just a single, put a queen excluder on it. Then I put on my bottom board that has that dial turned to the queen excluder opening. And then I put the weak colony on top. And it's only got, I think it's 4 slots for the queen to come through, or the bees to come up through. And so they'll come up and really help that struggling, queen get her population going. They're never great queens, but it's at least it'll give me, when I come around making splits, it's often 3 to 4 frames of brood that I can harvest off her. So she's not been a loss. And then I'll put that, like if I have 4 frames of brood compared to the mother that's got 8 frames down below. But those 4 frames, even if I pinch and kill off the queen, like one of the queens this spring I was doing this to only had 5 legs. Probably my fault, because I don't know how else a queen would get 5 legs. I probably pinched it during manipulation. But she was just able enough to continue laying, but not be a thriving queen. But I got 2 nukes out of her. So I pinched her, had 4 frames of brood to work with, and could make up 2 splits. So you're trying to optimize what you've got to work with. And I only have a few of those bottom boards with those dials on. But sometimes they just feel right. You grab it, stick it on, get a few, another 3 weeks of laying out of a failing queen, and then you use that brood to put a cell in.
But if she was a good queen, if she starts to fail and she's off, and Brad calls him a zombie, if she dies or they go to supersede her, then as long as you have, I guess, a good drone population around, then basically they would replace themselves, right? Why would you pinch her off? Why wouldn't you just let her go off into the sunset and them to replace her, because that's going to get the good genetics that you're wanting anyway from that original queen.
Well, I'm afraid I'm not that charitable. Sorry. You have a kinder heart than I do. If I'm running a hive on a stand, I want it busting full of brood come the honey flow.
Right.
It's...
I was just thinking that if you were good, like you said, you would let her lay a few more, 3 weeks extra of brood or something. Right. And why wouldn't you just move her off into a nuke and then requeen the mother colony and, let them replace her, and then she's replacing herself, right? Naturally. Well, I mean, I understand as far as being in a commercial operation, things are different than me being the backyard / sideliner, right? You guys do things more for, production, right? Most production you can get, where I do things that are a little more convenient.
Objectives.
Yeah,
It's all
exactly.
about objectives.
So
we pinch the old queen and move on, Ian says.
I go,
Yeah.
I want to go through my colonies and equalize them once. So that's essentially what's happened the last 2 weeks. So everything, to Brad's comment, if you know the timing of how long it takes for a worker bee to be raised, and then you have your parent queen. So, and the position that that queen has is to give you the outcome ready for the honey flow start. Anything other than that, you want to have 3 frames of brood in the queen cell, going into it, unless you're doing a rapid splitting, which means you'll take a little bit hit per colony on your honey crop, but you're going to get your number of colonies up, and you'll still get a slightly smaller crop per colony. So, for example, how do you calculate your production per hive? Should I calculate it on, I took, the 80 hives that made it through, and then of those 80, 10 weren't that great, so, but the other 70 I split, and I split everything up. When we were all done counting, we had potentially 182 units. So if we have good success rates with queen takes everything else, let's say we put 150 viable colonies into the honey flow. So do I count my average per hive based on what my starting number was of 80 hives, or do I base my average per hive on, because they gave me everything downstream of that? So do I base my honey crop on the 150 pounds that were the number of active bottom boards going into the honey flow? Because when people talk about averages per hive, I just wonder where their starting point is, because all those hives were offspring of the original 80. So if I say I started my year with 80 viable queen right colonies, 70 of which I was able to get splits out of and do everything else, should I divide my total honey crop by 80? Or do I divide my total honey crop by 150 to give me what my average per colony was? I don't know. I'll just throw it out there. It's hard.
I don't know. For me, it seems like no matter how many colonies that I have during the honey flow here, and we're not going to make the type of honey that you guys make as far as yield. I don't necessarily pull honey off of every single colony that I've got out there. I guess for me, it would be more about, well, how many hives did I actually harvest honey from, and what was my total honey yield?
Yeah.
But as far as, I guess the proper way would be, how much honey did we make and how many colonies do I have? I mean,
yeah. But what point in time becomes a question?
Yeah.
What point in time is the number of colony count? So it's just for a debatable subject. But
Ian said David counts honey like yield like Saskatchewan producers.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Well, they also yielded me all those new hives, right? So do I?
That's true. It's
I
not
think-
hard for me. If I make a split, it's probably not going to give me much honey this year. So
you should do all your splitting in the fall, because they're going to be your honey producers next year.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. But if I don't do them early in the spring, I'll have swarm issues. And I didn't have any swarm issues this year. Knock on wood, so far, we still got time.
Yeah.
But I usually get them. I usually have swarm issues following the honey flow.
Yeah.
When I go to reduce the colonies back down. And do the Ian method of shaking all the bees down into the single brood chamber, and then voila, they're all smashed in there for a few weeks, and then they try to take off on me sometimes, but we're going to split that this time.
Well, I'll step out. Ian might want to step in, and it's been a pleasure to join you again and share a few thoughts and do some more learning. So
thanks for coming in.
Thanks,
right.
David.
Nice to meet you, Dave. I'll probably see you at Navi.
Sounds good. We'll talk to you later. Okay.
All right.
Bye now.
Bye. Ian says his farm averages colonies into the flow July 1st, although he counts 2 nukes to 1 colony.
So his nukes are making honey, I presume.
Oh, his nukes make more damn honey than my full-grown colonies do.
Yes, they do.
Damn you, Ian. No, I'm just kidding.
How you riddled me that? Like, how can a 6-frame nuke make 3 or 4 deeps of honey? Like, that's crazy. And I usually don't get 3 or 4, but I'll get, you know, I've gotten 6 deeps out of 3 nukes, pretty regularly.
You guys see this box?
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you got going on, Mike?
5 boxes.
That is 5 deeps, and the top 3 are packed with honey. I think I'm gonna put a 6 box on this like next week.
Wow.
Is it a goal just to make a skyscraper? I mean, I usually start pulling boxes and putting empty boxes back on.
Nah, I'm gonna get a ladder.
He's a shower, not a grower.
That's it.
Yeah. They're just empty boxes.
Do it the first show. Give me 37 boxes tall.
They're just empty boxes.
Just empties.
That's funny.
Well, you know,
Oh, I'm glad you're getting a good crop.
Yeah. It's really wicked this year.
Let's see.
I'm thinking that hive right there will probably produce 100 to 120 pounds.
It's already got it on there.
Yeah. I mean, maybe more
So,
if they're able to fill that top, because I just slapped it on like a week and a half ago. And if they stack that, once they start they're going at it, I'm gonna slap another box on, just give them the room.
So 120 pounds, just kind of a modest crop then.
Yeah, from one hive.
Be modest. That's like twice the national average for the states.
Pretty modest around here.
And we got
you better get above 200 you better get above 200 to brag around here.
See the
Ian's sitting back saying, I got nukes that do better than that.
See the boxes behind this. This is 3 deeps and 2 mediums, and they're stacking out.
Yeah, I've pulled some boxes, right? Probably 12 boxes that I've pulled between deeps and mediums. And we did, and granted, they're not all thick because I didn't like do 9. You know, I did 10 frame boxes. But I was like 420 pounds so far. And then I took those and put them back on, right? So like I just got those nukes from Keith a few weeks back, and they're already 10 frames on the bottom. And then after I spun those out, I put the queen excluder on, and then I put the fresh spun out box of comb on top of it because they'll be attracted to come up through the excluder because of the honey dripping down on them, right? The little bit of honey that's left in there. And they're up in there working that comb right now. So they're packing something away up in there.
Yeah, MJ, your answer about under super and over super, I found the same thing. And actually, there's an article on ABJ that
don't make a difference.
Doesn't make a difference. And to be quite honest with you, what makes the difference is once you get the first super on there and it's full, and you lift it, and then you put the next one on there, and you're right, you know, that way all you got to do is lift the last one to see whether it's full enough to be able to know to put another one on there.
Well,
that just makes
you can't say it doesn't make any difference, because big difference is it's a heck of a lot more work to under super.
That's right, absolutely.
Take them off and put them back on,
and
for no reason.
As
it's for muscles.
As your tower gets taller, and you get your ladder out, MJ, and now you got a 100-pound box or 75-pound box.
100 pounds.
Won't weigh that much because they're empty.
I'm gonna toss it to my pregnant wife. She'll catch it.
Well, if he's under supering, right, he's got to keep moving it up.
I did that one year. I'll never do that again.
Under supering. Yeah, I did it. Yeah. What is it? Last year, I think I tried it on 2 hives, and I'm like, this is stupid. Didn't make a difference.
What I really hated, I mean, it was a lot of work, but what I really hated was if I go to check my supers to see if I need to add a box,
take them all
the empty one's on the bottom.
That's right. And that's what I'm just saying. I figured that out last year. I'm like, this is stupid.
You put them on the top, you just kind of peek under the cover and you can see the white wax, and Bob's your uncle, you put another box on.
So let's see. I got a question for Ian if he's still listening. Is that I know he makes up his battery, which is his nukes, and he drops cells in a 5-frame nuke and all that, and they get mated and whatever. So how does he requeen his production hives? Is he dropping nukes in there like that, or is he? I know he buys mated queens also, or he just puts some mated queens in.
Come on in here, Ian.
I'd be curious to know.
Yeah, pop in, Ian.
If he does the I've often heard of it, of people just opening a colony when they're requeening it, killing that queen, and putting a new queen right in. Even if it's
what I did yesterday, and I think that's what he's been doing. I don't want to speak for him, but so he's got some really interesting genetics strain going there, because he's been kind of breeding into his bees that they'll actually take care of themselves. He's got colonies that have been taking care of their own queen for years. He'll put the date of the queen on the little card, and then it'll be 5 years down the road and she's gangbusters. So very well that's not the same queen. They just kind of replace that queen successfully. And he'll requeen the ones that suck. He'll have colonies that just aren't keeping up, so he'll requeen those.
Well, so with that, like you did yesterday, you killed the queen, but then just put the queen cage in there, right? So as a
with candy plug.
Well, I've been watching that girl Emily from BeFit from up in Michigan.
And smalls. Go ahead, never mind.
Anyway, she was stating that on one of her videos here that I've been watching, the last couple of them. And hey, Steve, and where he said, she said, we were taught, to wait in the pheromones and take the old queen out and wait so long and then put the new queen in and all that. And he's just trying to scale up to going out to almonds and everything. And she says, we don't do that. We take the old queen out and put the new one in right away.
That's why I like learning from commercial beekeepers, because they don't just do things just because, they do things that work, and they don't waste time and effort. I'm too lazy to waste effort.
That's basically what she's learning. She's scaling up, and she's been hanging with the commercial guys at the almonds. And these are things that she's starting, she's learning. And also she's talked about, you can't do it when you only have 20. What you do when you have 20 hives versus when you have 200. It's a different story, the way you do it.
But a lot of times you can do the other way around, right? You can still, if you have 20 hives, you can still manage them like you have 2,000, right? And a lot of times you're going to save a lot of effort and time and do things a whole lot more efficiently when you have, just a few hives. There's no reason you can't. And like I say, that's why I like learning from commercial guys, because it's kind of like, well, how do you do this? Oh, you just do this and this. Okay. No messing around.
What's the difference between doing that or putting a pheromone strip in and waiting days, right, to keep them queenless, and then putting a queen in? I mean, you're just replacing one queen pheromone with another one, right? And then
go in, find the old queen and put her in a cage, leave her in the hive for 5 days, come back, no cells, right?
Yeah,
but it just doesn't seem to be necessary, right? And honestly, I had to ask. Like I had a good conversation with Ian about this a few days ago. I was like, how do I just requeen these? Because I don't do requeening very often. And that's what he told me. He said, go in, get the old queen, take her head off, put your new candy cage in, move on to the next one.
You don't leave them capped for any extra days. You just open it up, and as soon as they can get the candy out, she's released.
You can. You could tape it or leave the cap on. I didn't. We'll see. Ask me again next week.
Oh,
Well,
You
that's
guys-
the same way with Emily out there. She does the Bob Benny thing where she takes the masking tape and pecks a little hole in the end of it so they can chew on it, and does it that way. Where, like you say, drops that queen in as soon as she pulls the old queen out.
remember I told you guys I had that queenless nuke
There's
a couple
Doug.
weeks ago, and I had
Queen
that
out.
extra queen. I dropped her in. She's in there and she's laying.
Yeah.
I just took her and
So
threw her right in.
how long have they been queenless?
I think they had been queenless at that point for like about a week, and
Okay.
I realized that they were queenless, and maybe a few days, maybe for like 3 days, 4 days, and
Okay.
I went into my other hive to check it to release the queen from a swarm. So I had the queen in a cage, and as I'm going through, just seeing how they drew out everything, I find another queen and she's laying. I'm like, oh shit. So there was 2 queens in that swarm. So I took that one queen, dropped her into the nuke. I went and checked the other day.
Laying
and-
queen. So you put a laying queen in there. Okay.
I guess,
So
yeah.
Michael Palmer actually talks about that too. A laying queen is very different than a caged mated queen.
Okay.
And they're a very high acceptance rate if it's a laying
Yeah.
queen.
They
Well,
took her.
see, that's where I guess comes into the fact that if you got 4 frames with a laying queen in that little nuke where you're pulling
Goes
her
back to
out,
what we're talking about, Charlie. Exactly.
you're pulling it, you're pulling the old one out,
Yeah.
and you drop with her bees, her brood pheromone, and her
Yeah.
pheromone,
And she's a
you
laying
pull it-
queen.
and she's a laying queen, and you drop
Yeah.
that thing in there. She basically takes a crappy hive and makes it go in a different direction.
I know a
without
beekeeper
any
here. He has said to me, "Oh yeah, I do it all the time. I'll take a queen out of this hive, a queen out of this hive, and I'll move them around, put them in each." He said I move queens around all the time because they're laying queens. It's a very different thing. Now, I've tried it, and I'm scared to try it because I don't want to lose my queens. But I think that's something that we might all want to kind of prove to ourselves: is take a laying queen and put it in another colony.
Yeah.
But
I mean, this was the nuke was the bear attack hive, so
Oh yeah.
that's who they
Hey, boss.
replaced.
Hey
What's
guys,
up?
There he is. Now I can get all my questions answered.
Hey, Ian.
just ending the day.
Ian's got the dapper hairdo without the ball cap on tonight. Look at that.
There you go. Get those queens in, Brad.
Yes, sir. I had them in yesterday,
Oh,
not
good.
long
Yeah.
after I got home. Yeah.
Got the last of
And I'll
mine
tell
in. Just got back from the last yard. Got the last of mine in. So
Oh, you got the last of them in.
yeah, so that's good.
Good, good. I'll tell you, I don't know. I say I dodged a bullet or won the lottery or whatever. I was putting them in, and I had 2 left. I had 2 left to put in, and so I went around to find the weakest of my 6-frame poly boxes that I had, and I found a whole bunch of them. I found a whole bunch that I would call, weaker than the average, and so I just chose 2 at random. So I took the first one apart, found the old queen, took her head off, put the cage in, did it up, opened the second one to do the same, looked through it, not a stitch of brood, no eggs, nothing. No queen at all in that one. So, candy cage, close the lid. So it was really nice that I actually chose that one for the new queen, because they would have been laying workers in days, I'm sure. I hope they don't kill her.
Well, no, I bet you with the pollen, you have dandelion up there going right now.
We have dandelion flow, which I was thinking, boy, that was good timing to put them in just
Yeah.
as the dandelion flow started.
Yeah, those bees are in a good mood. We don't even need smoke in the yard. We're just, open the colonies and just work them, even without gloves. Yeah, just like some of the guys are just working without gloves now because bees are in such a good mood right now. It's
Yeah.
Send them down here. I can fix that shit for them.
Change their mind.
Yeah. That no PPE stuff, we can fix that.
I wouldn't keep bees if I had Bob's bees.
Yeah. First of all, it's a losing expedition.
My girls were pissy this past week when I was putting on boxes. I don't know what it was. I just caught a swarm. and for some reason that swarm decided to light me up with pheromone. Every box I opened to put supers on, oh my God, they were on me, in my veil, everywhere.
You know, and it doesn't even matter in my yard. It's like they know me. I mean, and I know a lot of people say no, they don't. Yeah, they know my scent or something.
That short 6-week lifespan is nothing, right? So 6
I
weeks,
can,
but the poster on the wall inside the hive that you never go down far enough to see, it's got your face on it, and they're like, "This
yeah,
is
the
the
wanted
guy."
poster
Like,
standing on this.
They're like,
I'm
"This
telling
guy
you,
right here."
because I can get stung up in the yard. My suit can get stung up. I can go inside, take a shower, brand new clothes just out of the washing machine, go outside, and it's like they still are hunting me.
If you have a sting, right, it doesn't matter if you shower or not. That pheromone is there for like 2 or 3 days.
Oh, well, I'm screwed. I had this big fella. You know, the other day I was outside at the table, and for like 2 hours, nobody showed up. There was nothing happening at all. And I'm like, you know what? Let me go ahead and move these 2 Pro Nuke splits that I made. Let me go ahead and just put them in a box and put some frames in there and let them start doing their thing. And no sooner that I had those colonies open and the bees were flying around, 3 cars right in a row, same exact time come in the yard. And this fella must have just came out of church or something, and you know, he had to smell good on or whatever. And boy, they lit his ass up right in my yard. I'm like, I had my veil on, right? I just had a veil on and gloves and a long sleeve shirt. And I was like, hey, just stay in the car and I'll just bring you your honey because I don't know what it's going to be like. And he's like, it's no problem. Yeah, it was too, because he got stung like 5 times in his beard and in his hair.
Oh boy!
And
I'm not afraid. You will be.
Hey, if you ain't afraid, you're stupid. That's why we had a discussion about like even the Texas Bee Works thing, right? It's like, hey, it's all good, but
Another
you don't
day
know
saving the bees.
Oh, you don't know the demeanor of those bees until you open that colony up a lot of times, right? And I just find it hard that she's lifting up a piece of plywood of a colony that's been in there for who knows how long and lifting it up and showing everybody in the world that, oh, they're just so nice and gentle.
She's actually Brad's cousin. Did you know that?
Yeah. There's no Africanized genetics in Texas either, is there?
Oh, yeah.
No,
right?
no, not at all.
Oh, this colony was queenless. Just so happens I brought this queen in my pocket.
Yeah. Oh, I hate that. I hated that so much. Oh, this little swarm is queenless. I just happen to have a mated queen, and she reaches down in her pocket and pulls out a mated queen. Yeah. We're going to give them this brand. Bitch, where'd that come from? I don't have extra mated queens just in my pockets while I'm going around.
Today, I come back from the bee yard with a box of queens. We bring them around with us, and I brought them into the honey house, into the washroom, just to sit in a nice, cool, dark place, you know, as I went up for lunch. And the guys, they're starting to work on the excavating work beside the honey house, building the new place now. And they're bringing Phil in, and they're vibrating it down with this great big land packer. And it shakes, and it was shaking the honey house. He was coming up close to the honey house, and the whole honey house was shaking like this. It was it was quite something. And Travis my worker was in the office taking his lunch, and I guess the bees in the box, they were being shook like this. They went absolutely bonkers, and they started pushing themselves out of that cardboard box, and they flew, and they owned the entire front entrance with angry bees. They were just unreasonable. We had to open up the door and the window, and they all flew out. And I put a little box of the pheromone strip, and they took to that, but they were absolutely pissed. I didn't expect that, and I guess it's just from the shake, the vibration like that. They just didn't handle it.
Yeah,
I'm going to be getting some queens in here soon, Ian. I'm going to film because I'm taking that mean ass hive. I don't even like to go in it at all, right? Because as soon as you open it up, they're just coming. I mean,
where's the queens coming from?
I have not ordered them yet, so I've been looking, and you know I've seen queens anywhere from $28 to $50 a queen, depending where you're getting them from. And I've got a limited budget, but so I'm trying to determine, should I go for the $28 queens that I can get 14 or 15 of them, or do I go for the $50 queens that I can only get like 8? You know, it's like, you know, it's that kind of decision.
Depends what they have to offer, I guess. What's the $50 queens give you?
Really, I mean, it's just like not much. I mean, they're carnies, Italians, or you can order Russians. It's kind of like Man Lake, you know, they're like $50. And even if you go from Hilco, like the Golden West queens are like $50 and stuff like that. No, Golden West, I'm sorry, is $80. I apologize. $80 if you order from them.
American? Holy man.
Yeah,
Wow.
so
But if you order them, Brad, I haven't priced the Golden West up here this year.
I thought they were going for 65 here.
Yeah.
Well, that's the funny thing, right? So if you order them from Oliveras as compared to Hilco, OHB, right? OHB.
You're close to Bob Binney. You should get some of his stock in, Bob.
He doesn't mail.
Oh,
I would
how far
have to drive
away from him?
about 3.5 hours.
Well, I guess that's further than I thought. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's still a day, right? Go up in the morning, take in some lunch, and drive back, and you're home. Let's see. So,
Might be worth your time to do something like that, though. Go buy from a buyer, reputable stock, and calm and gentle, and maybe a little history behind it, opposed buying from somebody who just mass produces. Maybe.
Yeah, I'd drive to Bob's to get queens for sure.
But every time I see him
buy some honey, and
What's that?
you should buy honey.
Drive to Bob's to get angry queens. Let's all do it.
Bob's honey is more than most people's honey. I've tried to buy
wrong Bob.
Bob Binney's honey before, and it's like close to $300.
Yeah,
Yeah, I already know when they say Bob, it ain't me
Bob.
that they're talking about.
Bob, King Bob.
King Bob.
I'm Bob.
The one, the only.
I'm Bob to the second power, right? I'm just like this.
No, that's
Bob
a
Jr.
You're a subscript, Bob.
Yeah, the subscript Bob.
Do you move, Bob?
Those queens that you're getting in from out there in British Columbia, I think it's British Columbia, they seem to be really nice queens.
Oh, beautiful queens. Yeah, tapping into 2 breeding programs out there. And it's a small market breeder, so they spend a little bit more time on allowing the queens to develop and progress in the mating nukes.
Yeah.
So they pick them out. Yeah, it is. I mean, I think there's a lot of development in that queen from when she starts to lay to when she develops that nest. So I think it's important.
So do they let her lay for like about 3 weeks when she gets started?
Well, cap brood, anyways. Yeah. So they see.
Yeah, well, I mean, Bob Denny had that.
Yeah.
He showed it on several different videos where that had some kind of a study where the accepted rates, if it was laying for 2 weeks, it was like a 60% acceptance rate. But for 1 more week after that 3rd week, she's more mature and calmer, and maybe the pheromones are even stronger, and it's more of like a 90-some% acceptance rate. It's just a better queen, it seems like.
Then she costs $600.
She's already got 1 full brood cycle of brood laid, right?
Yeah, well, you're not going to get that at Georgia and places like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Is that I haven't had good luck. I've ordered from Ray Oliveras and places like that before, and I know what, if you talk to the people running it, they're going to say, oh, we let them do this or that and this and that, right? And that's fine. But then they're not the guy actually going out there and getting the queens, right? They got some other guy. Like, if, for instance, if Ian said, hey, we're selling 100 queens, you guys go out and harvest 100 queens from this yard. Well, the kids that are going out there to get them, they're just getting the queens and putting them in there. There may not be as the quality control may lack a little bit in that instance, right? And I think that's what happens a lot, is that they're down here, they're rushing a bunch of queen production, and I don't know that they get really mated well, because I've had queens even from those Pepto Pink queens from Nature's Image. Had one of them. Put it in, looked like everything was good, and they laid a pattern about this big, and she was gone, and they made a new queen cell to replace her. So it was like, okay, they didn't like her for whatever reason.
I come across a colony today. We're working through the bottom end of the apiary just to try to bring them up just a bit. So we're equalizing things out and then just assessing some of the nests to make sure that we're not, boosting a poor colony. And if it is poor, we give them a boost. And we put a new queen in there. But I'm working away, and I'm looking at one colony, and it's doing really well. It's small. It's about 2.5 frames, and this, well, with the pollen and nectar coming in right now, I mean, they're just going crazy. So there's sheets of egg and nectar. The open larvae on the other side. So yeah, I'm going to keep her. So I look at the front, and on the tag, it's 2015, and that box has been in there that's 11 years, right?
Wow.
And obviously not the same
Wow.
queen, but it hasn't. I haven't done anything with that box.
That's 4 or 5 queens.
It has to be successive.
That's
like
amazing.
that.
Yeah.
I also run into
Wow.
a Ukrainian queen that I bought in 2023. So, and it still had its little pink sticker. You remember those pink stickers they put on the
Yep.
back of them? So
Yep.
it was that Ukrainian queen I bought back.
Mm.
Well, that's 23, 24, 25,
So-
26 on the 4th year. So that's pretty good.
In that situation, Ian, so they're requeening themselves, but are they doing that right in the middle of the honey flow when you need all the brood as possible? I mean, do you see the effect of that? In your
They do it. They do it whenever they want to. But I think you're right. They do it through the honey flow, and I don't see. I don't know. I don't see it happen. But I wonder if those super seizures would cause much issue, because it's a matter of the queen working and the cells drawn. She's working until from what I observe, she works until that comes out and knocks her off mates, and she's probably back laying before the nest even knows she's gone. So that's the way I look at it anyway.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah,
a real
different
late.
than a swarm.
It's the late queen replacements I don't like. It gets into August, and it's not the right time frame, and I run into trouble.
Right.
If it's July, they mate so fast. I do the math on my mating nuke sometimes. The day I put that virgin in there, and then I'll leave them for 10 days and then check for eggs. And eggs, I'll go in there and there's sealed brood in 10 days. I can do the math back, and it's like, wow, she was laying in 2 to 3 days after I put her in there.
Good time
Just
to do
incredible.
it too, with all the drones out there and the nice weather we typically have.
July is fantastic.
Yeah. So I think that's what's going on. I do think that.
It
Yeah.
must
If
be.
my colonies requeen, it's usually they don't swarm out until there's like a cap cell, or even a couple of days after having a cap cell. Because I've been in colonies where I found eggs and the cap cells on the cells, they're basically red, so almost about to emerge. So maybe you'll have like a 4-day brood break, which is good for Varroa, right? A couple of days of no brood.
But they'll still collect honey. I mean, the bees that are in there are still going to keep working and doing what they need to do.
And Ian, I'm just thinking about the timing. If that replacement happens early to mid-July, the eggs that queen is going to lay, or is not going to lay now during the replacement, they're not going to work for you. They're those bees you don't need. So what's happening is that that brood break, however long it might be, that's a lack of brood to feed, right? So that's honey, right? You're not losing that honey. They're not using that honey to feed brood. So they're going to make actually more honey by not having that brood during that period. That's something that Mel teaches.
Egg in the classroom came up. It was a couple of years ago, and I took him into a yard and showed him some beehives, and I actually broke a colony down to show him the brood nest. And I was trying to show him a queen. They want to see a queen, so I went to show him a queen. And I pull up the frame, and that's what they're doing. They're going through a queen replacement, and here's that virgin queen there. So I took the opportunity and just told him a little story there of what's going on there. She comes, she kills the old one, she replaces the nest and all that. And the kids, I guess, they really tapped into that a little bit and how that young queen comes out and she murders all the rest of them, eh? Especially the boys. They're sending questions about that.
The beekeeper.
So it's kind of neat. But yeah, Charlie, I'm not exactly sure when it happens, but it happens. Sometimes it fails though because we're in there working and we get in their way, right? And maybe the truck's in the way. Queen's trying to come back, or we bring the virgin back with us with the boxes or something. So there's a lot of
there were some things I did this year where I had some 24 queens, and I had replaced most everything back in 25, and those 24 queens, are like got missing. But then I started seeing some of these, supersedure cells or emergency cells, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to crush them. I'm just going to let them go and let that hive, like you say, requeen itself. And I was out there on the hives way out there, real tall, and I was out there last Saturday, I guess it was. And here's this patch of bees on the side of this big tall hive. And there's bees kind of all over the outside of the boxes. And I'm like, is they swarming? And I'm like, no, they don't look like no swarm. And then I got to thinking about it. I had wrote notes about seeing queen cells that I didn't smash. I'm like, that might be a virgin, or she's went out and got mated and come back, but didn't go into. And then about a half hour later, everybody got in, all sucked into the hive, and everything was back to normal. So I wrote on there, check the darn, and the next time I take my hive lifter out there to pull all that off, get down in there and see if I don't start seeing eggs. I think it's kind of like, sometimes maybe it's best to just leave the natural queen cells alone, that they've made.
Yeah, that's the way I look at it a little bit, just to let things happen, let them. But
they're typically the best
stationary beekeeper too. Like I know a guy shipping bees out to blueberries right now, and he's requeened everything because he needs to know those are young queens. So he can't have them halfway through his little exercise.
So, yeah, well, I've been grafting, and I knew some different hives were queenless, and I just last week or whatever it was, I just dropped cells in, just keep dropping cells in, and then I figured, well, I'll see. I know they're going to be hatching. If I drop them in, let's say they'll be hatching on a Saturday or something like that. I said, well, I'll check in a couple of weeks and see if everything is up and running. So it's like you say, it's like I have maybe some homemade cells in there. And I'm like, well, I'll put one of mine in there just in case as a backup. They can always tear it down.
That would probably be maybe further ahead requeening everything. But I guess, Brad, we've had such a short season and, we're struggling to get these colonies going, and these colonies start working for us. And then we go and pinch a queen off that's working for us. And then we put another queen in that is, sometimes I've come to the conclusion sometimes it's best just to let things happen, and then fix the problems if there's problems that comes along.
Well,
we're trying to fit so much in a short period, eh?
Kind of. I mean, what I was doing yesterday, requeening these things, like there were some of these, they weren't going to last another month if I didn't requeen them. They were getting so weak and small,
And now the opportunity.
And now they got a chance, right? Get that queen laying. And, I noticed something yesterday. I talked about that queenless hive, but I discovered that I put that queen in. And something I've noticed before a couple times, and again, I don't requeen like that very often, so I don't notice stuff like this. But I have noticed it a couple of times I've done it. And the first few times I noticed it, I thought I was hearing things, right? But it happened again yesterday. And it's that roar. You open that hive. It wasn't a big hive, so it wasn't a really big roar. But I opened that 6-framer and I started going through it. I got about 2 frames in and I'm thinking, my eyes are okay. Wow.
I grabbed that finger.
It's like, get that down here. And my eyes are telling me one thing. They're telling me, hey, maybe there's no queen. And then my ears start telling me, listen to that roar. There's no queen in here. Sure enough.
Queenless
right.
roar.
But you know what? I got it. Okay, I got it all put back together. I spread the frames and I put that queen cage in there, and it was like 3, 2, 1, and you could hear that roar drop.
Hmm.
I've heard that before. And then another 10, 15 seconds, I could hear it drop again. Like just in stages, it dropped. And it just amazing when they kind of, because that roar, I think, is they're fanning, trying to find the queen, trying to fan queen pheromone around, right? So when they get a little bit of queen pheromone and it hits some of the bees, they kind of stop fanning as much, right? It must be that, because it's happened to me a few times, and within 5-10 seconds of putting that caged queen in there, I can hear that roar drop. Pretty amazing.
I had a hive. It was a nuke, and I seen the queen. I'm like, oh, there's the queen right there. Well, then 2 frames over, here's Big Mama because she's barked. And I had a nuke next door that was queenless, and I found that virgin again and picked her up, and I sort of shook her or let her walk off into that other hive, and it wasn't 5 seconds. The rest of them bees jacked their butts up and started fanning, like, hey, we got the queen, we got a queen, And 2 weeks later, I had a slab of brood that big,
Now,
So,
Ian, when you go into a colony, if you're making a split with new queens, are you doing the same thing where you're just splitting them, putting the new queen in there and closing them up and going on and letting them just release the candy? And
yeah, it depends on how busy we're. If we're bringing the queens with us, generally we don't when we split. Is just one more thing to look after, but after we shake the bee, we count the bee frames of brood, shake the bees down, exclude or come back in an hour or that evening or the next day, strip the boxes off onto pallets into the yard, and then generally we take the box of queens to the yard that evening and drop them all in. Yeah, happens all together. Like today, we're pinching queens and dropping them straight in. Yeah. But I put a masking tape in just to slow them down a bit, or a little bowl of protein patty just to buy them just a little bit more time. Yeah.
So you go in there and you got a bunch of old queens. So you're going in and pinching that queen right away. You got a candy cage queen.
Yeah.
And you're putting her right behind her.
Right in there, yeah.
And what was you saying with the protein in front of the candy?
Yeah, I like to slow them down just a little bit more. So I either use masking tape or I'll put a ball of protein patty, just the patty, and just stick a ball of it at the end. So I have to chew through the patty to get to the candy cake. It buys another half a day or maybe a day. Yeah. Depending on how big they are. I mean, if they're small, then you don't need that. You just drop the candy in. But if they're a bit big and they look like they're hungry, like right now they're not hungry either, so it's a good time to release queens. But just a little ball of protein patty just to slow them down just a little bit.
So do you normally put a piece of masking tape on there and
I tried to just well, I guess next time I talk to you, I'll tell you how it worked out. This is the first time I've done it. Yeah, I've put it in it. I might have bought the wrong masking tape because it looked pretty leathery. I think I want to buy more of a brittle type masking tape. I'm not sure what I
get the dollar store masking tape.
Cutting it off. Yeah.
What is dollar store masking tape? It'll be crappy tape.
Yeah, didn't go there. It was at our local bearing shop, so I'm not sure. I just there's a green stuff, so that's what Bob uses, so that's what I tried.
Is it the blue tape or just the white tape?
It's green. Yeah.
Yeah, that's frog tape.
So Bucket List Bee says, Ian, when you shake the bees, do you inspect for the queen cell or queen cell?
When I shake the bees, do I inspect for a queen cell? When do I? Could you help me understand what he's asking?
I think when he's talking about like when you shake the bees off of the frames and move them up to the top over the excluder for them to come back up, are you checking those brood frames for cells and stuff like that as well?
Oh yeah, we generally don't like to split off cells. Yeah, if we're going to put a mated queen in there, we want to give her the best chance she has. If there's a capped queen cell in there with shaking, it's not going to do it any good either. So any cells get cut.
Country Road Bee says, so you're doing a full deep split?
Yeah. There'd be about 3 frames of brood. Yeah, we'll count them. If the box is like 5 frames of brood or whatever, then we'll stack it, so it'll be 2 frames of brood or 2.5 frames of brood, and the bees will just
go up and cover it.
They'll cover both boxes, and it's just taking 2 splits off that hive. Yeah, I don't like to make things 5 frame splits. That's kind of big. Yeah,
2 to 3. That's it.
Did you say, Mike, about what tape that is?
Frog tape.
The green is a painter's tape. It's ruggeder, and then there's the blue. But the Bob uses the cheap masking tape. Cheapest,
Not using the right tape then, probably, because it's just a
no,
little bit.
But I used a couple weeks ago. I got 6 queens, and I hadn't got the brood off only for 2 nukes, so I used them as queen bags. I put 3 queens in each, and I used the blue painter's tape. And then we got 2 days of rain. They came back and they had chewed, no holes. They had chewed the painter's tape, and one of them I could see the queen through the candy plug. They hadn't quite got to her. So I had to just pull them all out and drop them right in. The other ones had free range to the queens.
I don't have any of that masking tape. I had the green stuff. That's why I used it, because Bob used the green stuff. And I had the blue stuff sitting there too. Maybe I picked the wrong tape.
Well, no, usually it's just a crap masking tape.
Get the beige stuff.
A lot of them punch a hole.
Yellow
I didn't
stuff.
even punch a hole. They just ate
Yellow
stuff.
Yeah.
I'll try that next time.
I think
That gives you about what?
30 colonies to make sure they can get out of this damn tape.
So that gives you what, about a day, extra day, maybe, or 2?
I didn't punch a hole, and it was 3 days, and they were almost 3 queens out in each hive. Yeah.
3 days is a bit long. Yeah.
Well, no, I wasn't planning on that, but we had 2 days of pouring rain after I did it, so
everybody was home.
When I got to them, I was a little surprised that they'd gotten through the tape and the candy plug.
So is there a preference between attendance in the cage, no attendance in the cage, as to how long you want to have the
no attendance in
release? Like, is there any opinion on that? Whether there's attendance in the cage or not?
I know some guys that take the attendance out because they think that does make a difference, but I'm not so certain. Ray Oliveris ships 3 bees per queen now, because I think he figures it makes for better acceptance.
If there's fewer attendants.
That's what, but he needs to beat the queen, but he didn't want as many in there because it affects the acceptance. But I have no idea. I'm not sure.
Huh. Interesting. Maybe they're troublemakers when they come out.
It must maybe something like that, because some guys take
them out before like 8 or 9 in each.
Huh?
Who did that?
Yeah, Palmer puts about
Michael
8,
Palmer.
I think, in his.
Yeah, he puts an 8 in each.
Yeah.
And I think Troy Hall does 5 or 6 in each.
Yeah, I think
it also depends on, he's selling a lot to individuals. They don't have a place to bank their queens or anything else.
Down there in Georgia, I think they put 6 attendants in.
I know all the
hell, they'll just about eat the plug out from the inside.
Just had no attendance. You actually had to ask, and they wouldn't put more than 2 in. And they're shipped up here, and they put the attendants in up here.
I think the best way to go about it is shaking the bees over top, like making a little nursery over top of the queen cage. That's the best way to go about it. We can't buy California queens or even from Hawaii with bulk bees on them, though. So that's why we have to have the attendants in there.
Oh, I see. Yes, that would. Yeah.
See, they used to when we were allowed to bring the queens, but not the packages. There was shook bees on those queens. I remember buying bees on those queens, and then someone said, "Yeah, but it's just like bringing a package up," and then they stopped it. So,
oh yeah.
I found 2 red queens so far this year, still running active. So they're on their full summer.
Nice.
Hey Bob, I was thinking about you yesterday when I was going through my queenless nukes, because I probably smashed 50 queen cells. I'm looking at those thinking Bob would make a whole apiary out of these frames.
That's more than my whole apiary. That's more queens than I have in all my colonies put together right now.
But like I said, it's all about your objectives. There wasn't my objectives.
Making more bees.
The
didn't follow the plan.
Hey, I just looked at those Golden West bees. Oliveras doesn't have a shipping date until July for those, and they've got them for 50 US there. So the Golden West, anyway. So I don't know.
To them back in 2024, and I still have some of those. Like I had them marked to replace, and I was like, wow, they're still doing well. So I kept them in. And they'll probably be replaced, but I wouldn't be scared of them. They're good. They seem to be good.
I'll have to. I've had Saskatraz here, but that was like probably 6 years ago or 7. Yeah, I mean, it was like my first season when I was doing some expansion. I was buying some queens, and everybody was hot about the Saskatraz. Boy, they don't like South Carolina heat and humidity. I'll tell you that much.
Well, there's Saskatchewan genetics.
Yeah,
well, have you found any of the breeds eat more through the winter than others that year?
No.
Yeah. The Golden West eat a lot. They well, which you'd expect. They're a little bit more broody, and they brood a little bit later into the fall.
So are they more of an Italian then?
Yeah, there must be Italian in there. There's got to be, because they come from Randy Oliver, and he's a package producer. So I mean a pollinator. So I wonder if he's focusing on Italian there, because they brood later into the fall, and then I don't know if we get enough feed in because there's a brood nest going into the shed. So I'm not sure if it's that or if they just eat more through winter. I don't know. Saskatraz are pretty conservative though. Yeah,
they're probably more of Carniolan.
Yeah,
hybrid.
It comes from Albert stock up in northern Saskatchewan, so they're a dark bee. Then Ray's bred some of the production characteristics into them, and I'm not sure where that comes from. Maybe Italian, I'm not sure. But the Buckfast, they die before they eat all the honey. Yeah. Maybe I should be bold. Just my experience is that.
Well, and you know what? But you listen to somebody like Lawrence. That's what he runs, Buckfast in the UK, right? I mean, that's what.
Yeah, but their weather's a little different.
Yeah, they got all that rain. But now I've also heard that there is no such thing as a true Buckfast bee.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm wondering how they classify it as a Buckfast if they have.
Well, I mean, you know, when what's his name, the monk guy, he had it over there at the Abbey and all that stuff, but then it seemed like after he died, and I don't think anybody was taking care of the bees. I mean, they, you know, as far as like say breeding genetics or anything like that. So, you know, is it a true Buckfast to begin with? You don't know.
Well, that's I always chuckle to myself because the marketing on everything is, if you go to order queens, a lot of times they use the word like Carniolan hybrid, Italian hybrid, and that just means that the original queen that they mated it from was Carniolan, but they don't know what it mated with, right? They don't know the drone, so they can't 100% say that it's a Carniolan queen. It becomes a hybrid because it's much between whatever it's mated with, right? At least its offspring is. So,
and that also depends on like the, you know, you might have a hygienic breeder queen, but you don't know whether her offspring or any.
Yeah, so that's one of the reasons why I'm looking to replace is, right, if I bring a lot of people were selling virgin queens a couple years ago, or even if I grafted my own, who are they mating with? The drones from my pissed off hives that I'm trying to get the genetics out of? You know, I don't know. Probably because they're my most powerful colonies, because I don't mess with them that much. I just let them go, right? And so that's the reason why I'm trying to replace queens now, is to knock those queens down, get rid of them, split their resources, and give them nice new queens to go with. So we'll see how it goes. I've gotten queens this late in the year before, and they didn't really do that well. But again, they were queens out of California, and I haven't had any good luck with queens from California. So
buy a Kona queen. I'm not sure how they do down there. I've always had good luck with Konas.
I went to the website. Oliveras, right, is a Kona No, I went to Kona Queens today, and they had nowhere you could order their queens online.
Oh,
maybe I need to look
guys around?
somewhere else for them. Huh?
Do you have any local breeders around, the little smaller guys?
No, not really. I've got one guy, but he always wants to give me virgin queens, and that doesn't fix my problem, right? So I could go to Georgia or to Bob, or I got someone in Florida.
So your idea is to bring a queen in that's not aggressive, not from the area. That's what your is. Yeah, nice.
And then
I think you should get a 3-hour drive there, Bob.
Think so. Go to Bob's.
Go to Bob's.
Does your state ag department have a list of queen breeders?
Mine, no.
So under our state in the apiary, I guess, ag department, they have an entire list of people who do queens, nukes, and packages, and they're all certified by the state as far as like disease, as well as they have to give you like certified mite loads when you pick up from them.
Let's see.
Hop off, guys. See you around.
All right.
See you.
He's gone with the quickness.
Reverse Africanized bees.
Now, here's the thing.
Bob, pop the picture up of my great grandma and her empty hives.
Empty hives?
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. Why is it not popping up?
Empty boxes like you have stacked high there?
That's great grandma and her empty boxes.
Empty boxes, yeah. So that's where you learned it from.
Exactly. It's not about how much you make, it's how much you look like you make. Okay?
Are those shallows on top?
Fake it till you make it.
I have no idea. I just found this picture.
So I just went to Bob's website.
Those look like shallows, don't they?
Maybe, but they might be mediums.
I don't think they're mediums.
I don't know. Yeah, that
medium should be
comparison.
Yeah, it should be 2/3.
Yeah.
Bob looks like he's currently out of stock on every queen.
I'll bet you that's comb honey production in shallows.
Oh, imagine.
Yeah.
That's some money right there.
That'd be gold mine.
Yeah.
That's $50,000 in that stack.
If that's actually stacked with honey and bees, I want those genetics.
Yep.
Well,
what you want is the lack of varroa. Yeah. That's what you want.
Yeah, that's way before varroa.
That's why they could do that.
Before everything was developed.
Yeah.
If they didn't have AFB, they were off to the races.
So it looks like Bob is out of all queens right now. And he sells Golden West queens over there and Italian queens through Oliveira's. And then he's got what he calls Indian Summer Honey Farm queen bees.
That's the guy down in Florida.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
And he's selling Golden West for $40. So he's cheaper than Oliveira sells them for. But of course, Bob's buying probably 1,000 at a time.
Or someone might be charging more on shipping. They always equal something out.
So anyway, we've been going for 2.5 hours. And
good chat tonight, Bob.
Yeah, it's a nice discussion. I do have the link to the Send Me a Queen fund on the in the description of the video if you so choose.
Send Bob a queen.
Thank you, Brad, for helping me with that. And Doug, I know if you're still here, you supported me, and then a bunch of people out of my family and some local people. So I do appreciate it. But if you choose to, I appreciate it. And if not, no skin off my back. I just appreciate the thought. So at any rate, guys, we'll see you next week. And I hope you guys have a great beekeeping week. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
See ya.